Get ready to make some trades on the Mediterranean. This is our review of Ostia.
Ostia is a Mancala-style worker placement game about exploring the waters of the Roman Empire, and the Mancala mechanic really took me by surprise.
This was my first experience with the Mancala mechanism, and I was an instant fan. We'll tell you all about it after this quick how to play.
Ostia is played over an undetermined number of rounds, with each player taking one turn per round.
On their turn, players will select boats on one of their board's 6 spaces and produce the resources on that space.
Then the player will move the boats, Mancala style, one by one clockwise around their board.
The player will then perform the action of the final space where the boat lands.
Players will build up their fleet, move their ships around the main board, and earn rewards that will increase their multiplier of their final score.
Once one of the endgame conditions is met, players will multiply their different resources by where they are in the reward track. The player with the most points wins. We were sent a copy of Ostia from the publisher so that we could do this review video.
If you'd like to find out more information or to buy a copy of the game, check out our link in the description below.
So Ostia implements a Mancala-style mechanism with its worker placement. Each player has their own player board, and it has 6 sections. And in that section, you'll have your boats that you move around. And when you first start your turn, you're going to choose a section, and however many boats you have, that's how many resources you'll produce. Then you'll take your boats and place them one at a time, and wherever the last boat ends, that's the action you take. So the colorful symbols on the board are what you're producing. So you have stone, you have money, you have grain, you have wood, etc. And then the white symbols are the actions that you can take. So when you land there, you perform the actions. I love the idea of you take your first step and you produce it, and then you move around the board according to how many ships you have. So you want to have a lot of ships so you can get a lot of resources, but you also need to strategically choose how many ships you have so that you'll be able to take the action you need. Because just keep going around the board getting lots of resources, if you never end up in the spot you want, you're not gonna be able to perform the actions and use those resources. So I love how you have to think about those 2 steps. It's very intricate, but it's a lot of fun and very satisfying when it actually works out in your favor.
When we first played it and Kenny was teaching it and he said there was this Mancala mechanic, I was just taken by surprise because honestly, this was like a childhood game. I remember, you grab the stones, 1, 2, 3, grab the stones, 1, 2, 3, 4. To then turn that into a larger game, I thought that's really cool, right? It's like if we took, I don't know, dominoes or checkers, and then that was like a small component of a bigger game. There are probably games that have done that, but I've never seen incorporating Mancala. So that's why I was like, interesting. Now let's see where it goes. Because I'm pretty sure Mancala was like a African origin. So, but this was like about the Roman, the Mediterranean and stuff like that. So kind of meshed together a little bit. So I was really excited to really jump in and see.
So I really liked the mechanics of this game, especially the Mancala system. So after playing it, I looked it up, did more research into it, and tried to find other games like it. And a lot of people were comparing this game to this game Trajan by Stefan Feld. So I of course got this because we like him as a designer, and I ordered this right away having played this game. That's how much I liked this mechanic. I wanted to play other games and see, is it this game that's awesome or is it other games that have that similar mechanics? And now I'm going down the rabbit hole, so we'll have this game to unbox and review as we go as well. But that's how much I enjoyed playing this game and the mechanics of this game, because it immediately made me go, what other games have this style of gameplay?
So the Mancala is kind of your own little player board, but then there's also a main board where you can kind of move your ships on and then start moving them along to either collect rewards or get buildings or things like that. I think the main thing that I focus on is the multipliers. I mean, that's probably seems like the obvious, but I could see where there could be other strategies if other people are like racing towards that too.
The different ports on the main board are tiles, and you can change them up every game. So it adds some variety each time you play the game. It's not always going to be the same as far as which ports you're going to. And some of the ways that you can earn bonuses in one strategy may not be there in a different game. So just because this is the strategy I'm going to use, and the next game you play, that tile isn't there, so you can't get that strategy. There are a lot of other things that you can do on the main board. You're going to build your cities, which is a different action that you can take. It's a build action. You're going to build up your fleet. That's going to happen in your main board. But then as you get the bigger ships, you then have to place a smaller ship on the main board. But your other ships have to be far enough away on the main board that you're able to place that small ship on the main board. You need to go in a certain order to do the actions, whereas over here you have to figure out, okay, I need to do this order, but I need my ships to be arranged this way so I can actually do that order. Plus I need the resources to do it. So you're thinking, okay, I need this many ships, but I need to be able to land here, but I need this ship on the main board here so I can do this. Plus I need to be past a certain port in order to build at it. So there's so much that you're thinking about. I know what I'm saying makes it sound overly complicated, but when you start playing it, it feels very intuitive. And a lot of that has to do is that you're so focused on your own board that whatever happens on the main board just kind of naturally happens with the flow of your strategy.
I will say another thing that I really like is when you build your buildings, you're kind of adding those buildings to your player board. And that in and of itself is like a engine building because it makes things cheaper for you. So you can buy things or build things for a lot cheaper or earn more money. So I really like that part in almost all games where you can kind of focus on building that really helps you later on in the game or just makes things cheaper or easier.
Even though this game plays very intuitively and plays very smoothly, it will take a long time just because you're slowly building up. The actions that you need to do and the places you need to get to one of the end game conditions takes a little while. It's not because people have analysis paralysis and they're overthinking things. It's just naturally it takes a long time, but you never feel like there's a lot of dead time in between turns. It just feels like you're constantly doing a lot. And so the whole time you feel like you're progressing. And then by the time you get to the end of the game, you're like, oh, that was a very satisfying 2.5 hours.
I mean, to be fair, it's probably because of the novelty, but it's got to be that Mancala mechanic and how they added that into this and made it a bigger game.
Yeah, I have to say that's the thing that I really like the most about it. I've talked about a lot in this video is I like that Mancala system. I want to see if I'll have an even bigger appreciation for Ostia after I play some other games, or if it'll just be like, oh, I just really like that Mancala system in general. What did you not like about the game?
When we did the unboxing, I kind of made a comment, but even when we played it too, and we understood the game, I think just the table presence, it seems like a table hog unnecessarily. It could have been a little bit smaller. I mean, max is like 4 people, right? So it seems pretty big for 4 people. It could have been smaller.
The one thing I didn't really like is the reward track and how it's a multiplier at the end to get your score. And as you move up the reward track, the other resources that you're multiplying by get higher. I felt in some games with the reward tiles, you don't always move up the reward track as quickly as you would like to. And one of the end game conditions is getting to the top of the reward track. And I don't think we've ever had that happen over all the games that we played. Something about the reward track, I didn't really like that. When it came time to the final scoring, I was just like, I enjoyed this game so much, but now I gotta do this final scoring thing. It just kind of bugs me a little bit.
Overall, I had a lot of fun playing Ostia. I think it's probably that novel. I haven't played the Mancala mechanic before, but we'll see how it goes with the other games. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5 for now.
Overall, I really enjoyed this game a lot. I know a lot of it has to do with the novelty, like Lee said, of the Mancala mechanic moving around the board, but I also like how it's connected to that worker placement. I think that is pretty original, at least what they're saying in their description, and seeing a description of other games. But overall, right now, I'm gonna give it a 9. And that was our review of Ostia.
What'd you think? Does this game float your boat? Let us know in the comments below.
Once again, we'd like to thank the publisher for sending us a copy of Ostia so that we could do this review video. If you'd like to find out more information or buy a copy, check out the links in our description below, including a link for their upcoming Kickstarter for the Pirates expansion.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
And I'm Kenny. I go party like a board gamer.